Hi everyone, this is Ryan Russell from 20 over 10. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. I can see a few people just signing on now. I want to give them a chance to fully sign in and make sure that they can see my screen. As we get started, a couple things to keep in mind, just some basic housekeeping items. Today we're going to be going over how to build a site on 20 over 10, some of the details, but we're really eager to answer questions that you might have along the way. So if you do have questions today, please drop them in the Q&A panel via your Zoom panel. Additionally, Amanda Larson is joining us. She is part of our marketing team, and she'll be answering any questions that you add in the Q&A channel, in the comments section. So maybe just to get started, if Amanda or if some attendees can just write in and let me know that you can see my screen okay, and we will get cruising. All right, got a few people saying, okay, perfect. All right, let's jump right in. So 20over10.com is a website builder specifically for financial advisors. Now, the nice thing about setting up your own account and not leveraging our team to do the building is it's going to be completely free right out of the gate. And we're going to give you a 14-day free trial to play around in the platform, be able to make changes, add content, etc., and no charges. You don't even have to put a credit card in right away. 20over10.com. To create an account, you can either click Get Started, or you can scroll down to the bottom of the page and click Sign Up Free. Now, we're just going to create an account to start. So I'm just going to put March Demo. So you'll want to add your email address and a password. If you are associated with any broker-dealer that's currently on our Providence platform, you can see that list as well. They are available to you below. You can make sure that you're connected to those individuals. And we'll click Let's Go. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to need to pick a framework. And we're very, very cognizant of that term, framework, and what it means. Keep in mind that these frameworks are going to be extremely easy to edit. But there are going to be some really key points of functionality that you'll want to pay attention to. If we click Browse Frameworks, you're going to be able to jump in here. You're going to be able to see specifically all the things that sort of make this unique. Now, by clicking Live Demo, you can actually launch these. Iris, for example, to see that it's actually a single-page scrolling site. Right? Meaning all your content is essentially on one long page, each section being defined as a subpage and having its own URL slug. Rod and Cone, big full-page images, Pupil, Acuity that has sort of that split screen and some unique navigation. But we'll just pick Fresnel and we'll go. Some good questions about the frameworks. Single-page scrolling sites absolutely do not hurt with SEO as long as they are properly coded. The reason being is because that specific page, each individual subsection is being identified as a subpage. Each section actually has its own custom URL slug. So what that means is that Google can really properly crawl that site and the appropriate subpages. We do see a lot of platforms in the space that have them coded improperly, which means, yes, they will be detrimental to your SEO. But in terms of how we create the single-page scrolling sites, no. They're going to be equally as valuable as the multi-page sites as well, and you'll still have all the additional capabilities for landing pages, blogs, etc. Great question. Now, as we log in, just to kind of look around, you'll have your website preview to the right, your navigation list to the left. Now, we're going to give you some basic content to start with, right? Now, it's not implied that you should use this content by any means. We want this to be uniquely yours. However, we understand that sometimes a starting point is better just than a blank canvas. So there's really two areas that you can start. You can start to address first the content of your page, your copy, your images, etc., or we can talk about the design. Let's start with the design. If we click over to Site Settings in the bottom left-hand corner, this is where we can actually get started. And what you'll see is a host of different options that can help sort of customize the sort of structure of your page. So let's just start with a logo and title, right? Make sure that you put your company name, right? And click Save. This is going to help for display purposes across browser windows, etc. Now you have two options when it comes to selecting logos, okay? Text and images, okay? If you don't have a logo, that's perfectly fine. You'll see that you can add a tagline. You can do some things that will allow you to create sort of a logo on its own without having like that actual image itself. Or you can add an image. Now, the image files that we really prefer are going to be PNG files or SVG files. Okay, if you don't have either of those, you might have a JPEG, right? Just understand that JPEGs have that white box in the background. PNGs are transparent, so this way, if you want something to show through, to show maybe like the image behind it, a PNG is really ideal. I'm just going to click Upload Logo, and what I'm going to do is I just have some things gathered in an Assets folder that I'm going to use for demo purposes. I'm just going to click Save. So right now you can see my logo. Now it's a little bit small, it's hard to read, so there's some things that I can do, right? Now additionally, you can add favicons in here as well. We're not going to do that at the moment, but those are those little icons that show up in modern browser bars. Now if I go into my navigation, there's some things that I can do. If I want to make that logo a lot bigger, I can go in and I can drag my logo container width to really make it like large, really stand out. I can also go and I can make it so that I'm going to add a background color behind it. And right now you'll see that my navigation scrolls with my page. I'm actually going to make it fixed. And what that means is that as I scroll, that navigation is going to stay there. Okay, so what we got to do now is we just got to put a background color behind it. So let's just pop right down into colors. What you'll see in the colors is a really sort of organized way of addressing colors on individual elements of your page. So for example, navigation, if I want to add a background there, I know I can just go to navigation background, and there's no color selected. And I can use my font, my color picker, right? I can add hex values in here. I can even address the opacity. So if I want this to be white, but maybe I want it to be just a little bit transparent, I can actually go in. I can just pull this opacity back a little bit, and this way I can start to see some of the image scroll behind it. It's like a nice little detail, right? And you can address all your colors. So if it's something as granular as, you know, the links in your footer and what color, you can go in and do that. And of course, you can also go in and start to address fonts as well. Right? So your fonts, you can go in, you'll see that we do partner with Google Fonts. So there will be lots and lots and lots of options for you to really capture maybe the fonts that you're already using, maybe a look that you're really going for, etc. And we'll get in down here in a little bit talking about how to connect domains, etc. Great question. Michael, do we have a list of font combinations that work well? So we use a lot of resources in doing this. Typewolf is a big one. But here's sort of a general sort of parameter from a design standpoint. It's imperative that your headline and subheadline font is clearly different or identical to your paragraph text. What I mean by that is if you have two fonts that are slightly different, it will look more like a mistake. But if you have one that's maybe like a big sort of heavy slab serif and one that's a nice thin readable sans serif, it really looks kind of good in a nice way to kind of pair things and create hierarchy. Because we're going to go in here in a second as we address content and talk about sort of organizing and how to establish what's headers, what's not. Keeping in mind that you can see on our fonts, you can identify headlines, subheadlines, and body copy all separately. So you can really get sort of granular with those. A great question. Now let's head back over to our page list and kind of go through and start talking about, okay, how do we build out pages? How do we structure? The next logical step is maybe building out a structure that we really want in terms of our website architecture. What sort of page and then nested subpages do we really want? So you'll see again that we give you a list. Now subpages are identified as those that are indented. If you grab the three dots to the left of any page, you can move entire sections around, individual pages, And if you have the desire to actually go in and make a sub page, a main page, or vice versa, you can just drag them out or drag them in. So I've made our team, you can see it's no longer indented, and now it has some real estate in that main navigation. Now, if I want to make that a sub page of who we are, we can do that too. And of course, when I click who we are, now our team shows up down here. So a really nice way for you to start to organize. And of course, you can add new pages if you'd like. So if you have, multiple, groups of team members, if you have multiple pages beyond sort of maybe the basic structure that we've laid out, it's easy to add, right? You simply click add new and you can add standard pages. These are great for services, for outlining, the clients that you serve, your contact page. You can add external links. External links are buttons, right, like this, that append to your main navigation that rather than, so if services, it will take me to the services page of my website. I can actually click on client login, and this would take me maybe to my eMoney login, to my TD Ameritrade login, to any external URL. This is great for client portfolio logins or schedulers, right, to those account pages. You can add multiple blog style pages and team member page too. Now, keeping in mind, blog style pages just don't have to be for traditional blogs. They can be to promote events as well. So it's important that you can add as many sort of distinct blog post style pages as you'd like. And when you add a page, the first thing that you're going to do is address some page settings. And of course, we can go into any page and address those page settings that are already established. So things like page names where we can update, how, the page appears in our own navigation. Customize that browser page title, right? Your background image. So your background image is a sort of great way for you to capture maybe where your geographic location, maybe something, more metaphorically appropriate for, sort of what you do in the financial space. Maybe it's block colors, maybe it's textures. We see people doing a lot of really cool stuff here. The ability to simply go in, click change, and grab, a photo is going to be really, really easy. So if I want to go in and I'll just grab a picture of DC that I have, you'll see that it will update immediately. And in any image that I upload, you can see that I can click adjust image and simply crop it as I see fit. And it will update on that page. Now, if you have a single page scrolling site and you need to update the image in between sections, it's easy to do. It's going to be in the exact same spot. But rather than clicking on any of the sub pages, it will be on that main page. So that one that's not indented, right? You'll click on page settings and you'll click change under background divider. And that will change the image between sections. Of course, you can still crop it, etc. Now, you have some options in terms of what it means to size things, like do you want it to scroll or do you want it to be fixed on the page? For single page scrolling sites, you can make sort of the text blocks scroll over while the image looks still, or vice versa. This is called parallaxing. You can do a lot of cool stuff there. And keeping in mind that in page settings, you can add your meta descriptions and some social sharing details as well. Now, as you get into your content, this is where you can really have, a lot of fun outlining, different services, etc. So if I want to go in, maybe a couple things that you'll notice is a lot of these blocks just simply allow you to click and start typing, right? So this makes it really, really easy to go in and add all types of new content. Some things that you can do, of course, or go in and you can start to style content, right? So we can add titles, we can, establish, how we want things to look here, going in and, bold, italicizing, creating elements like lists. We can go in and create line breaks. We can make things look, kind of really cool, like it's a quote or something. Let's go in and maybe do one of those. You can add tables. So if you have, things like the fee structures, right? You can go in and pick a cell structure that's appropriate. These are always mobile responsive, and social icons too. So if you want to add buttons throughout your site, you can to your respective social media channels. Now you can do this in bios. You can do this in your footer on general pages. And adding these buttons allows you to create links that give people immediate access to those. Now, if we click here, you can edit that link, of course, so that URL, you want to make sure that it directs specifically to the page. So I'm going to pause here before I get into media, and there's a question about font sizes. So our font sizes are preset for maximum visibility, although full disclosure, we're actually evaluating that at the moment. I'm going to click Save Change here. Now, when we go over to Site Settings in Fonts, you'll see that this is where you'll be able to set so that all of your headlines and sub-headlines should ultimately look sort of consistent as well as body copy. We're actually building out now, after like kind of a long discussion about what we wanted to give people the ability to change, it's going to be font size and also text weight too. So if you want something to be a lot bolder or a lot thinner, you'll be able to preset that here and it will automatically apply. So that is a really great question. Now, I'm going to show you here, too, how to reach out. So if there is a specific request, if you're like, hey, I'd love all my subheadlines to be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, it's really easy to do. You reach out to us, which I'll show you here up here in the help, and we'll take care of it. Now, just to sort of end here, a couple things. You can upload images. You can upload videos, links, files, and even contact forms. But another really cool feature is layout. So if I wanted to go in here and maybe do a 2-column split, you'll see that I can actually go in, highlight this one column, and if I want to insert a video, I can just share or drop in a URL to like a Vimeo or a YouTube. So I can go here. I can kind of paste that in and add a little content. Of course, this is all mobile responsive. You can do the same with files, right? So if I wanted to go in here and I wanted to upload a file, I can drag it right on to my desktop. I'll just open my assets folder here and drop like maybe a form ADV. And you'll see I have like a little link, right? Now, admittedly, this link isn't very attractive. It's the name of the actual file. So what we can do with any file is just simply click, edit the link, change the display text. We can even turn any link into a button. So we can kind of go in here and we can maybe make it secondary, right? Full width if we want to. Doesn't have to be. You can see a nice little page that we've created, mostly gibberish, right? Because I'm putting in some lorem ipsum. So it's always best to plan out your content as you're going through. You're going to want to make sure that you actively go in and click Save Changes in the bottom right, okay? One of the things that you should know about saving changes means you're not saving it to your live domain even after you've published. You're simply saving it for review. Now let's talk about some different types of pages, and then I'll answer some questions about sort of expanding options for FAQs and some DNS, because we'll definitely touch on those as well as some really great questions. For team member pages, you have some really cool opportunities. I'm going to point you over here to page settings first. You'll see we have sort of this standard layout, right? Pictures to the left, details to the right. Maybe we want to do like a grid. We want to be able to highlight and do some things like that. Under our page settings, you'll see for our specialty pages like team and blog, you can actually go in here and let's say I want to do like 4 people per row. And I want to be able to click on those images to show up as an overlay. And I'll click Save. Now you'll see here that I can click and, launch bios. And it's really easy for me to go in and if I want to, take out these people because they don't work for you, right? They don't work for us either. This is a little nod to one of our favorite shows, just as an FYI. You can add new members, and of course you can go in and delete new members as well. Some cool things that you can do for team members as well. You can go in and with photos, You know, you might have a standard photo. You might want to go in and add like a, maybe like some sort of like really fun photo, right? So I'll add this like windsurfer in here. This isn't me, FYI. I'm going to click adjust image so that it's a square, just like the other one, right? Maybe this is like sort of me out of the office. I live in Pennsylvania, so it's freezing here, so this definitely isn't me. But you can kind of see once we add that and click Save Member, has kind of a cool little effect as we hover over things, right? It sort of blends in. It could go from something that's like really official to something that's a little bit more playful and personalized. It's a great way to build relationships with people. Now, I want to go back because somebody had asked, can we put an image instead of words as a button or a link? Absolutely. I should have went over this too. You know, anywhere on the page, if you go in, and you insert an image, you should note that if you just drag that image directly onto the page, let me grab that DC picture again. We can go in and with those images, we can resize. And of course, with those images too, just so you know, they can become links. So if we click insert link and we have this go to, you know, HTTP, you know, www.google.com, right? It'll send. So that way anybody clicking on the image will jump directly to it. So just click insert. Really great question. Now for our news page, lots of capabilities now for our readers. Our blog page is really, really expansive, right? So it does a whole heck of a lot, but you can really allow people to kind of use it as you wish. So giving them the ability to search, categorize, featured images, social sharing, etc. You have tons and tons of resources. So I'm just going to direct you to your page settings again to start. This is a specialty page, which means under page settings, you can assign different categories. You're not relegated to using the 4 that we've provided. So if you say, yeah, I don't, you know, need insights, but I do need, I already have college planning, Gen Xers, right? You can go in and simply by typing and clicking enter, you can add a category that can now be applied to all posts. And you can create, you know, as many posts per page as you'd like. You can decide how you want to order them, what your pagination type looks like. Traditional is like page 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, which would mean, you know, it'll show the first 4, and then on the second page, it'll be the next 4. If you do a load more, it'll be very similar to our blog in that, I think we still do this, let me see. Yeah, it'll say load more articles, you click, and then a few more pop up, right? So if you have it set to 4, it'll load 4. If you click load more, then it'll load 4 more, etc. Of course, you can control social sharing as well. So if you don't want to make it easy for your readers, you can absolutely do that. Now, in the actual posts themselves, you just click Manage Posts. We have some sample posts for you. And of course, you can write your own original content or leverage our Content Assist package. Original content allows you to add in your original post titles, right? So every blog post will be its own respective subpage of your site. And you have the ability then to either have them open its own unique content that you type out and add in here with all the same capabilities, or you can have it go to an external URL. So for example, if you were mentioned in CNBC, if you were mentioned or quoted or co-wrote an article in Financial Planner, you can have it from that blog feed. When somebody clicks on the title, it'll launch directly to that external URL. You can add excerpts, categories to each post, featured images, and of course, all of your meta descriptions and social sharing details. Now, you also have the ability to go in and mark whether or not you want to publish those articles right now. So if you have, maybe 5 other changes that you want to go live, but this blog's not quite finished, you can turn it into a draft simply by marking it as published no. That simply means that, no matter what you do, going through the review process, nothing will be live. Now, I also want to direct you to this page down here, Other Pages. This gives you the ability to create landing pages. Landing pages are pages that don't show up in the main navigation or any sub-navigation of your website. So this is kind of really unique, right? Because we can create one-off pages that not everybody has easy access to. We can add those links sort of deep down, maybe in blog posts or in subsections or other subpages. We can give that URL specifically to, people via email or social media. Now, when we click Add New, it's just like adding any other page. And of course, it provides really a blank slate for you to go in and add. So you can do things like write text about those services or promoting that event, add forms to generate leads, PDFs that people can download. This page URL can be linked in from other pages, or it can be shared. So the page URL can always be found under Page Settings and this page URL slug. So I'm just going to copy this. So if you wanted to share this page via email, it would just be your domain, abcfinancialplanning.com/retirement-planning-checklist. If I wanted to connect to a sub-page or another page internally to my website, I can just grab that URL slug, go up to the place that I want to link, and I'll just do the URL, right? So I'll just precede that with a slash and click Insert. Now, of course, that can be a button too, just as an FYI, right? So now what will happen is, if somebody comes to this page and they click Learn More, that will take them to the subpage, right? So you have the ability to maneuver around within internal pages. Again, it's just identifying the page that you want to go to, under Page Settings, copy and paste that URL slug, and it's just put a slash in front of it, right? And that'll direct them specifically to that page or subpage or landing page. Now, one thing to note as well is the uploads library. We're going to capture everything that we upload to your site, all the types of documents, forms, icons, images, etc. You can go in and you can filter by type, by name, by date. We're going to hang on to it for you. Now, going back to our page settings, a couple other things. Forms. If you have forms on your page, and it's likely that you will, you'll want to make sure that you add an email address. This is where each of your forms will be sent to. Even if you don't have forms, it's a good idea to have an email in here, just in case in the future, right? And of course, you always want to test forms when your website is live. Now, integrations. This is where you can drop in your Google UA number, right? So setting up a Google Analytics account gives you 10,000 plus metrics over who's using your site and how. It's pretty great stuff. And if you're using Redtail or MailChimp and you have forms in your site, you can connect to those accounts. And it's really as easy as clicking Setup and adding your account information there. What that does is any new submissions from those forms will automatically be entered into those CRMs as a new user. So it really helps sort of, identify, those things. Now, if you're going through and you're like, this is a question that comes up with self-builders all the time. I want to change my theme, right? I want to pick a different framework. Under Advanced, we have lots of things. Now, these are for some of our more advanced builders, right? Code injects, custom CSS, etc. But this is where you can actually go in and click Change Framework. And you can kind of move around. Now, I want you to keep in mind, okay, that if you do change framework, you are going to bring all of the content currently on your website. That means all the colors, all the images, all the content, right, will move over with it. So it won't be sort of the same as starting off from that framework as such. But that's usually the better play. That's helpful simply because if you've already gone all this trouble updating your page content, you don't want to have to do it all again. Now, when you're ready to connect your domain, when you're ready to go live, there's really two steps, and we can help with this, okay? Under domains, you're going to want to add yours, right? Right? You do not have to include the HTTP or the www. Add it in and click Add. Okay? One thing that you'll be required to do at this point is have your billing information. Okay? To go live, you do need your billing, but keep in mind that from the account setup to the day, till the end of day 14, you will not be charged, just as an FYI. When you do that, you'll have some instructions to access your DNS and help, but certainly that can be very daunting for people, and we're willing to help. I'm going to show you here how to reach out to support in just a moment. And when you're ready to publish, you can click Send My Review Materials. Now, when you do that, just so you're aware, you'll have the ability to review PDFs as well as, private, sort of temporary versions of your website in a browser that you can then make additional changes to, just clicking edit or clicking publish to go live. And under My Account, you will always have access, because every change that you make to your site that actually goes live, you have your site archives, okay? So that will archive every version of your site, every new piece of information that you add to it. And you have those in the event of an audit, 17A4 compliant, and very easy to do. Now, I want to direct you over to the help section. If we click help and click browse articles, one of the things is, publishing, right? Publishing your website content. If you're an independent RIA, if you're affiliated with a broker dealer, we give you detailed instructions. But as I mentioned, this can be very daunting for people. DNS, those are things that sort of scare people, Absolutely, if you are hosting a website elsewhere and you want to totally redesign it, certainly you can do it on our platform. And then what we'll do is we will actually help you publish the site. It's actually a pretty easy step, and most DNS registrars are pretty friendly. They're pretty quick too, right? So kind of within 30 minutes, although they do say up to 24 hours. Again, that's not because of us. That just depends on where your DNS is located. And we'll copy over your MX records, so there's absolutely no sort of deviation or interruption to email, etc. Certainly along the way, we know that things can feel really intimidating if you just feel like you're on your own, right? If you've ever been on like a WordPress or something, like you can feel like, oh, I'm totally lost, right? Under help, you can open up a chat with us, submit a ticket, right? The reason we ask to submit an initial ticket to start this chat is so A, we can track the problem, but B, we can get the right person to answer it as soon as humanly possible. And for anybody on this call today, I just want to point out that you have the ability to go in and make sure that you are taking advantage of a free 20-minute consultation with any of our designers to talk about sort of what you've done. It's 20 minutes, and so I always tell people, get as far as you can, and then we can answer some last-minute questions. All you have to do is reach out to hello@20over10.com, identify yourself as a self-builder, just say, hey, I'm getting close, I want to chat, 20 minutes, and we'll do it. It's absolutely no charge. Now, with that, I want to show you some resources too on our blog, some questions that come up. Hey, I'm looking for free images, right? We have tons, access to millions upon millions of images. If you go to our blog, 10 best sites for free stock photos, textures, etc. Unsplash, Pixabay. Any of these allows you to launch and be able to search like really highly specific things, right? So if we want to do something like really sort of inventive or cool or, whatever, you can absolutely find images. They're totally free. You can use. Now, of course, if you have existing images, you can use those as well. But we just like to give people sort of a cost-friendly option too. And I want to go through and answer some of these remaining questions. So I know I'm about 5 minutes over, and I apologize. Let's talk about recommended sizes for images. This is a great question. Okay, so we're really playing for all screens, right? So one of the things that we should really pay attention to is those big screens. We see a lot of people now getting on big desktops, right? And really, really tiny mobile devices. So the best way to do it is, I would say, go no smaller than 1280 pixels wide, right, at the widest size. So if it's like a big background photo, make sure that's about 1280 pixels wide. Keeping in mind that we can always size pictures down, but we can't really size them up. You can't create more pixels that don't exist, but you can condense a photo down. 1280 wide. Ideal, if like we had our druthers, it would be 1400. Now, how to change the logo size more than offered under the navigation tab. Well, if you have specific requests in sort of what you're looking to do, we can help. What this allows you to do is really address it based around the actual file that you've uploaded. So if it's like maybe like a vertical file and you want to kind of change it, this container width really allows you to scale it appropriately so that it will scale appropriately on mobile as well, so as it gets down to those pages. So I would just keep that in mind. But certainly if there's something a bit odd about your logo, or maybe it has some sort of like little detail or something that maybe I'm not understanding, all you have to do is reach out, help, submit a ticket, and we can help sort of size that for you. Create Expand for FAQs. So at the moment, we don't have any prefabbed ways to do that, although we are happy to help. Again, if you go in, we can put one or two in, which you can copy and paste. Just simply submit a ticket request, and we can go from there. But I want to encourage everybody, regardless, as you're getting closer, as you're sort of working on your sites, as you have thoughts, reach out, right? I'm happy to give you a free 20 minutes just to chat, go into a little bit more detail, talk about going live plans, so that you can launch a site that's better than what's out there, right? We're so tired of seeing those template-based sites with that same guy driving over the Golden Gate Bridge, even if you are an advisor in Delaware. It makes no sense. This site should really represent you. It should be your language, your voice. This is a big part of sort of your opportunity to allow users to self-qualify too. So keep that in mind. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy day today. I want to thank Amanda for joining us too. She's been making sure that I stay on point and on time, although I didn't do a very good job there. I want to tell everybody have a great day, and we will talk with you soon. Great point, Amanda. For anybody that has an existing contract, we are happy to waive our fee to eat the amount of your existing contract over the next few months. I believe we're doing that through May. So if you're with FMG or with advisor websites, we have a lot of users flooding over to 20 over, tend to use a lot of these new features. But if you're locked into a contract, we don't want you to wait. Come over now. We'll put that monthly charge on hold for you. So you're not double paying. Just simply reach out to hello@20over10.com and schedule that 20-minute consultation. All right, with that, I will let everyone go. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.